What Ebola really does to the human body. Imagine waking up with what feels like an ordinary fever. Your head hurts, your muscles ache, you are tired, nothing about it seems unusual. Maybe it's the flu, maybe it's a cold, maybe you just need some rest. But hidden inside your body, an invisible invader has already begun a process so destructive that doctors consider it one of the most feared diseases on Earth, a virus that can spread through your blood system, a virus that can attack multiple organs, a virus that causes outbreaks capable of terrifying entire countries. This is Ebola, and today we are going to follow the virus step by step from the moment it enters the body to the battles that unfold inside your cells to the symptoms that begin to appear and finally to why Ebola became one of the most feared diseases in modern history. What you're about to learn is not a movie, it's not science fiction, it's real biology. And it all begins with a single exposure, the invasion. To understand Ebola, we first need to understand what a virus actually is. A virus is not a living creature in the same way humans, animals, or plants are. It cannot reproduce on its own. It cannot eat. It cannot survive independently for long. Instead, it acts like a microscopic hijacker. Its entire purpose is to invade living cells and use them as factories. Ebola is particularly dangerous because it's extremely efficient at this process. The virus typically enters the body through contact with infected body fluids. This can include blood, vomit, diarrhea, saliva, sweat, breast milk, semen, other fluid from an infected person. Once the virus enters through the broken skin or mucous membranes, the invasion begins. At first, you feel absolutely nothing. No warning, no pain, no signal. But inside the body, Ebola has already started moving. The very cells designed to protect you. Cells whose job is to detect threats. Cells that normally help coordinate immune defenses. This is where Ebola reveals one of its most dangerous tricks. Instead of being destroyed, these immune cells, it infects them. Imagine enemy forces taking over your military vehicles and using them against you. The virus particles grows and yet the person still feels perfectly normal. The virus is winning a battle that its victim doesn't even know exists. The silence spread. Days pass, sometimes more than a week. The virus continues multiplying. Every infected cell becomes a production factory. New viral particles emerge. They spread to neighboring cells. Then those cells begin producing even more virus. The numbers increase exponentially. Millions become billions. Billions become trillions. And the immune system is struggling to understand what's happening. Under normal circumstances, the immune system identifies a threat and launches a coordinated response. But Ebola interferes with those signals. Scientists have found that the virus can disrupt important immune processes that would normally help the body fight infection. This gives Ebola valuable time to spread, time to multiply, time to establish control. Meanwhile, infected cells are appearing throughout the body. The liver, the spleen, the lymph nodes, the bloodstream. And as the viral load climbs higher and higher, the body approaches a critical turning point. Soon, symptoms will begin and everything changes. What are the first symptoms here? One morning, something feels wrong. You wake up exhausted. Your muscles hurt. You have chills. Your temperature is rising. A headache begins. At first glance, these symptoms appear surprisingly ordinary. In fact, Ebola symptoms can resemble many other illnesses. That's one reason outbreaks can be difficult to recognize immediately, but inside the body, the situation is far from ordinary. The immune system has finally realized that something dangerous is happening. Now it launches a powerful response, chemical signals flood through the bloodstream. Inflammation increases. Immune system rush into action. The body is attempting to stop an enemy that has already gained a major advantage. This response contributes to many of the symptoms people experience: fever, fatigue, weakness, body aches, loss of appetite. The person may believe they simply have a common illness, but Ebola continues advancing, and the next phase is far more dangerous: cliffhanger. At this point, most people think the fever is the problem. It isn't. The fever is only the warning, because what Ebola does next is the reason scientists consider it one of the most feared viruses ever discovered. In the next part, we will see how Ebola affects blood vessels, organs, and the immune system itself, and why severe cases can become life-threatening when immune system turns into a storm. To this point, Ebola has been spreading largely out of sight. The virus has infected cells, it has multiplied, it has moved through the body, and now the immune system is fully awake. But here is where things become dangerous. Sometimes the immune response becomes intense that starts causing damage of its own. Think of it like firefighters trying to stop a small fire. Normally, they would use exactly the amount of water needed, but imagine if they flooded the entire building. The fire might be controlled, but the building would suffer enormous damage. Something similar can happen during severe viral infections. The body releases large amount of inflammatory chemicals. These chemicals are meant to coordinate an attack against the virus. Instead, they can create chaos throughout the body. Blood vessels become more permeable. Fluid begins leaking into surrounding tissues. Organs receive less efficient blood flow. The person feels worse and worse. Extreme weakness, high fever, severe exhaustion. At this stage, many patients become unable to perform normal activities. Simply standing up may feel difficult. Even walking across a room can become exhausting. And the virus is still multiplying inside the bloodstream, inside organs, inside immune system. The battle is escalating, but the most frightening stage is still ahead: the attack on organs. Your organs are specialized workers in a massive city. The liver filters toxins, the kidneys regulate waste, the heart pumps blood, the lungs exchange oxygen. Everything must work together. When Ebola spreads widely through the body, this delicate system starts coming under pressure. One organ that can be significantly affected is the liver. The liver performs hundreds of clinical functions every day. It helps process nutrients. It helps regulate blood chemistry. It produces proteins needed throughout the body. When the liver becomes damaged, many important systems begin struggling. Meanwhile, the kidneys may also face increasing stress. The kidneys constantly filter blood. They remove waste products. They help maintain proper fluid balance. If the body's circulation becomes unstable, kidney function can suffer. The virus is no longer affecting just isolated cells, it's influencing entire systems. This is why Ebola is so dangerous. The disease is not limited to one area. It can affect multiple parts of the body simultaneously. Doctors treat severe Ebola patients often focus heavily on supporting organ function because survival might depend not only on controlling the virus but also on helping the body continue functioning long enough to recover. At this point, the patient may experience severe symptoms: intense fatigue, persistent fever, digestive problems, extreme weakness. The illness becomes impossible to ignore. Yet something even more dangerous is developing beneath the surface: the blood vessel problem. To understand why Ebola gained such a terrifying reputation. We need to talk about blood vessels. Your blood vessels form an enormous transportation network. If laid end to end, they would stretch tens of thousands of miles. They deliver oxygen, they deliver nutrients, they remove waste, they keep every tissue alive under normal circumstances. Blood vessels are tightly regulated. They allow exactly what is needed to pass through. Not too much, not too little. In severe Ebola infections, this regulation can become disrupted. The lining of blood vessels may become damaged. Inflammatory processes increase. Fluid leakage becomes more likely. Blood pressure can drop. Circulation becomes less efficient. Imagine thousands of tiny lakes appearing throughout a city's water system. Pressure drops everywhere. Resources struggle to reach their destination. The entire network becomes unstable. This contributes to why severe Ebola can become life-threatening. The body's transportation system begins failing precisely when organs need support the most. As circulation deteriorates, organs receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients. The situation becomes increasingly difficult for the body to manage. And this is where many people misunderstand Ebola. Popular culture often focuses only on bleeding, but the true danger is more broader. Ebola can affect the immune system, circulation, blood vessels, and multiple organs at the same time. It is a full body crisis, not just a single symptom. And now we arrive at the questions everyone asks: can people survive? The fight for survival. The answer may surprise you. Many people hear word Ebola and assume infection automatically means death. That's not true. Ebola is extremely dangerous, but people can and do survive. In fact, survival rates have improved significantly compared with earliest outbreaks. Why? Because medicine has improved. Scientists learned more about the virus. Doctors developed better supportive care. Researchers created treatments and vaccines that have helped save lives. Modern Ebola treatment focuses heavily on supporting the patient, fluids, electrolytes, oxygen when needed, treatment of complications, careful monitoring, and the goal is simple: keep the body functioning while the immune system gains the upper hand. For survivors, recovery can be a long journey. Even after the virus is cleared, the body may need time to heal. Fatigue can persist, weakness can linger, recovery may take weeks or months, but survival is absolutely possible. And every outbreak teaches scientists more about how to improve outcomes. This is one reason Ebola research remains so important. Every discovery has the potential to save lives. So why Ebola terrified the world? So why did Ebola become one of the most feared diseases on earth? Ebola combines several things humans naturally fear: an invisible threat, a serious illness, uncertainty, and dramatic outbreaks that spread through communities. When people hear stories about Ebola, they often imagine a monster virus that kills instantly. That reality is more complex. Ebola is a biological process, a virus entering cells, multiplying, spreading, triggering immune responses, disrupting normal functions. Understanding that process doesn't make Ebola less serious, but it does make it less mysterious. And knowledge is powerful because when scientists understand a disease, they can develop treatments, vaccines, public health strategies, and better ways to protect people. That's exactly what has happened over the years. The more we learn, the better prepared we become. Ebola begins with something almost invisible: a microscopic virus, too small to see, too small to feel. Yet once inside the body, it can trigger a chain reaction affecting cells, organs, blood vessels, and the immune system itself. From the first infected cell to the first fever to the body's desperate fight for survival, Ebola reveals just how complex and fragile human biology can be. And perhaps the most important lesson is this: the greatest weapon against deadly disease is not fear, it's understanding. Because every scientific discovery brings us one step closer to preventing the next outbreak and saving more lives. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the human body, subscribe for more science and health videos. Thank you for watching.